it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, January 10th. So we have the moon moving out of Leo energy, moving into Virgo energy, locking in at 10:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, we had the moon in Leo go void, of course, last evening, and it's been a long stretch, almost 12 full hours of the moon being void. Now, most of us were asleep at that time. Hopefully, it meant that we were sleeping well instead of the restlessness and overthinking and semi-dramatic dreamscapes that could be created with this particular transition. However, moving into Virgo energy, we are going to get grounded out just a tad. Now, here's the thing. Mercury rules over Virgo energy, and as we all know, Mercury is retrograde. So what does this mean for us with the moon moving into Virgo energy? Well, first of all, we are going to create a little bit of stability out of our crazy ass emotions, most of that contributing to the full moon in Cancer that we are definitely moving away from at this point in time. We in Virgo energy, we like to make sense of things. We really do dive into the over analytical, highly judgmental, super critical inner narrative that we all have. And because Mercury rules over Virgo energy and Earth energy, we're able to ground our thoughts out. We're able to bring some of those ideas to life. We're able to organize and restructure our inner realms in order to provide us with a little bit more safety and security, a little bit more stability than we've been used to over this past couple of weeks. Should I say weeks or months or years or decades, that is up to you, but definitely since the full moon in Cancer. So with Mercury being retrograde, we do have to expect that a lot of this analyzing, a lot of this critiquing, if you will, is going to be about looking back on the situations that are extreme, that are crazy, that are chaotic, that do need a little bit of analyzation in order for us to recognize the problems so that we can come up with solutions. And we're in a very interesting point of time in energy and in the calendar right now where we are plucking some aha moments, some epiphanies out of our past reflection, changing our present moment, and of course, altering the direction, the path, the perspective, the understanding that we have in moving forward. So it's definitely going to be an interesting day. There are 10 different aspects here today. 9 of them involve the moon. So the moon and the sun are going to make a very harmonious interaction here today. We love this. We get along with the moon and the sun right now because, well, we are kind of bossing up. We're recognizing where it is that we do have to leave certain things in the past. Now, the moon is still very much in Leo energy at this point. We are void, of course, but there is a full realization of what it is that our heart wants, what our heart needs, what our heart desires. And with the sun shining a bright light in Capricorn energy on our future, our long-term plans, our long-term goals, we are starting to see very clearly what it is that we have to build in our lives in order to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. So this is going to be a good realization for us, a good grounding energy for us to realize what it is that our heart is calling us to pursue. The moon goes ahead, makes a very positive interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, belief, abundance, blessings, who is in Aries energy. So yes, the moon is still very much in this Leo energy, void of course, but Leo energy, Aries energy is some fire on fire. And what we're gaining from this is huge insight, huge amount of confidence, huge amount of optimism. We are gaining a big picture on what it is that makes us excited, has us inspired, is truly motivating us to kind of dig deep and be damn well and determined to do what we got to do to put ourselves out there and create new opportunities for happiness, for wealth, for wellness in our lives. Of course, we're not in a time to take action. This is all an inner realm thing, but you best believe we are feeling good about it. just in time for the moon to make a not so nice aspect with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is also in Aries energy. Now, this little awkward interaction kind of brings up a lot of the doubts, the fears, the insecurities that our negative ass narrative is going to bring to our attention to try and speak fear into the dreams that we just realized. Now, are we going to let it happen? Yeah, probably, but we're going to catch it. We're going to nip it in the bud, so to speak. Why is that? Because we recognize now that we have a brand new self-awareness. We're able to kind of be aware of where it is that our ego is kicking in with those negative narratives and trying to really paralyze us from taking action, for moving forward, for actually doing better in our lives. And the quicker we can jump on that narrative, the quicker we can override it. Because, of course, Chiron, yes, is the wounded healer, illuminates our wounds, but also shows us how to heal them. The moon is going to make an awkward interaction with Pluto, the great transformer himself, that is going to provide us with a beautiful opportunity to implement what it is that we've learned. Now, what have we learned? Well, we've learned that our pain, our trauma, our suffering is not a point of weakness. It's actually our greatest strength, because from that, we can turn the darkness into power. We can turn the whole situation on its head. We can use our memories, as dark and as heavy and as hurtful as they may be, to inspire us and empower us, to motivate us to do better, to want better, to be better. And this particular energy, because the moon is in Leo energy, is creating a boldness, a bravery, a courage that we lack for the better part of, the lunar cycle, being in other signs, that we get very strongly when the moon is in Leo. It's the heart and soul of the zodiac. So Pluto shines a bright light on our past, especially the not so nice parts of it, in order to empower us. And we are definitely rising to that challenge. And it would kind of suggest that we are going to have an opportunity kind of pop its ugly head out here in our external realms for us to make a choice on whether or not we're going to curl up in a ball like the cowardly little kitten that the shadow realm element of the moon in Leo is, or we're going to boss up, we're going to roar, we're going to remind this jungle who is boss. And that in itself is an emotional transformation that Pluto absolutely activates and triggers within all of us. So the last aspect that the moon in Leo is going to make, and again, still void of course, is with Mercury, who of course is retrograde in Capricorn energy. The moon is our heart space, Mercury is our head space, and this would suggest that they're not on the same page. And you know what? That's okay. The moon in Leo is very focused on where it is that we want to boss up and move forward, while Mercury, being retrograde in Capricorn, is showing us where we need to reflect on the past in order to learn certain lessons, certain patterns, certain behaviors from our past so that we can bring them, integrate them into the present moment so we can prevent doing them in a futuristic sense. So you got the moon, who is focused on the future. You got Mercury, who is focused on the past. So of course there's going to be some disconnect there, but what we know to be true is that we have to look back and clear up the elements of our past in order to have a clean slate to start building upon as we kind of bring some of our futuristic dreams to life. So the moon goes ahead and locks into this Virgo energy at 10:16 a.m. And it's not until 3:17 p.m. that we actually have our first moon aspect. And that is going to be a very awkward one with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, and blessings and abundance, who again is in Aries energy. Now, the awkwardness comes because this is a learning point. This is a choice point, if you will. Keep in mind, Jupiter wants to magnify things, turn the volume all the way up. And in Aries energy, all we want to do is act on impulse. All we want to do is take action, make moves. But guess what? We're not supported in doing that right now. And the moon in Virgo is a little bit of a good doer. No. The moon in Virgo is a little bit of a do-gooder, which means that We're following a procedure. We're following a strategy. We're following the rules here, which means that we're not taking any action. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to think about the actions that we want to take. We want to add logic and practicality to it. We want to pick it apart. We want to think of all the different outcomes that it could produce. And then we are going to visualize walking through each of the scenarios in order to see how our heart actually feels about those scenarios and the potential outcome. Now, this is when the moon is going to bump into Pluto, and this is a beautiful thing for a couple of reasons. First of all, the moon in Virgo bumping into Pluto is totally different than when the moon in Leo bumped into Pluto. And the moon in Virgo and Pluto energy have a lot in common, and that commonality is the psyche. Now, Mercury, being the mental plane ruler over Virgo energy, has a lot to do with the mental processing, but mostly of our ego. Now, Plutonian energy takes us in the unconscious realm, the shadow realm of our existence, and really illuminates for us where it is that in our psychological conditioning, we have to rewrite a couple of things in order to free ourselves up to doing things in a different way, for seeing things in a different light. So the moon bumping into Pluto, first of all, would suggest that we're having a huge shift in our emotional plane, a huge shift in our feelings based on some aha moments that we're having, a shift taking place in our mental plane, an epiphany in our psychological realm. And a lot of this has to do with picking ourselves apart, picking our lives apart, picking our past apart, seeing the patterns and behaviors, seeing the looping actions, and seeing where it is that we have the potential to do something differently. Whether we're reacting differently or handling a situation differently or having a conversation in a different way than we normally would, we have the ability and the power to break the repetitive patterns and behaviors that maybe didn't work out so well for us the first place. And because of that, we're stepping into our power, which Pluto loves. We are absolutely having a change of heart and head, which Pluto loves. And we are kind of finding a lot more stability, safety, and security from that, which the Virgo energy loves. It's all about healing, and we're definitely healing ourselves on a deep psychological level. Now, the sun is going to go ahead and make a very positive aspect with Jupiter. If you didn't notice by now, Jupiter is pretty active here today. Jupiter likes to magnify things, turn the volume all the way up on things. And of course, he's about growth and expansion and beliefs and abundance and blessings. And the sun, of course, is shining a bright light on what it is that we have to embody, what it is that we have to build. We're in Capricorn energy, so we're thinking long term. And this particular light is being a very good illuminator to the growth that we've already done, to the changes that we've already made, to the roles and responsibilities that we've already bossed up to. This is a good, I'm going to say, reality check in a way, because we have to really consider, I know sometimes you hear them say, like, fake it till you make it. And sometimes that's good advice, but in this particular instance, the sun interacting with Jupiter is saying, okay, faking it until you make it sounded pretty good, but why don't we just be what we are, right? There's a difference between faking a vibration and a frequency that you want to be, and there's another huge difference in just embracing the vibration and the frequency that you currently are. And yes, I know we're constantly pushing the boundaries of us being better versions of ourselves, but we also have to take the time to celebrate who it is that we currently are in this moment, because we are the version of ourselves that we once prayed for, that we once set out to be. And we've all worked very hard to arrive at this particular point. This is really going to shine a bright light on where we've definitely encountered some hardships, where there's been some tough love life lessons that we're now having an appreciation for, because of course they provided us the opportunity to grow, to be better. And we're definitely shifting our perspective to focus on the silver linings of our circumstances right now. And we are definitely in a more positive mind frame to accept things as they are instead of the way that we wished that they would be. And we're trying to make the best of it, which is all we can really do on this human experience is just make the best of it. So the moon in Virgo is going to go ahead and bump into the sun shortly thereafter. And this isn't the most comfortable of energies. What we get here is the moon in Virgo, who is constantly just mentally processing the things from the past and the things from the present and the things that we want in our future realm. And the sun is shining a bright light, of course, in Capricorn energy on what it is that we need to build in order to get us to where it is that we desire to be. And the moon, typically speaking, although is our heart space, although is our emotion, typically represents the past. And the sun shines a bright light on what we have to embody as far as qualities and characteristics in order to really stand in our power in our future realms. So what we get here is the past and the future kind of coming together. And in the overlap of that is the present moment. And the present moment carries a lot of power, even though we don't feel like we have a lot of control to do anything about the past or to do anything about the future. What we do have is this illumination on the patterns, the behaviors that are coming into our, I'm going to say, awareness, where it is that we've been on autopilot, where that has actually gotten us, where it is we need to be more present, where it is we need to boss up, where it is we need to be a little bit more responsible and accountable for our actions, for our thoughts, for our responses and reactions to the world around us. And although that might not feel so good, it is going to lead us to have some powerful aha moments that will essentially shift the way that we think and the way that we feel. We're going to wrap up the day with a beautiful energy between the moon in Virgo harmonizing with Chiron, the wounded healer. And what this is suggesting is a huge amount of growth and a huge amount of healing. There's a huge amount of progress taking place in compartmentalizing our thoughts, our feelings, creating a little bit more order out of the chaotic state that we've been in, and really examining where things haven't been working for us and where we need to do a little bit better. And keep in mind that Virgo energy just wants to provide solutions. It's a fixer. It's a healing energy. And with Chiron, the wounded healer, yep, we've been illuminated to some of those wounds. We've been illuminated to some of those problems, but we have the wisdom, the knowledge, and the resources within us to actually provide solutions, to fix that problem, and to actually make a change so that we can change our thoughts, change our emotions, and essentially change our actions as we move forward.